Hello, hello, and welcome to week 2 of our Dancing with the Stars recap. I am here with my older sister Kayla from StyledByKaylaXO, and we started our series. Technically yesterday is when we posted it, but we started it last week on Kayla's channel for week 1 recap. So you can go, we'll link that below and you can go watch that. So basically on odd weeks we'll be on Kayla's channel, on even weeks we'll be on mine, and we're just gonna talk about how we feel about each episode. So
yeah,
we're gonna go ahead and get started.
So week 2 was the first elimination week. It started out with Tyra teaching us how to smize, and I don't remember, was it because because of masks, something like that?
No, it was, she tied it somehow to her modeling. I don't remember
either, but
what exactly it was.
I loved her first dress. It was great.
She had like a metal breastplate on her dress and I was impressed.
I was there for it. And then they kind of like panned around to some of the stars, and the main thing I noticed is that Justina looked super nervous, which was so funny. It was like, because she didn't end up dancing for quite a while into the episode, and she looked so nervous at the start of the episode. But the biggest reveal at the top of the episode was that next week is Disney Week. Disney Week that early into the season. I'm so excited for it. I love Disney Week. It's my favorite week. And I'm super psyched that we get to do it on my channel because I love Disney Week. Get ready.
Yes. So why don't we just
dive on in.
So the very first couple was Neve and Jenna. And
yellow.
they, oh my God, they were beautiful in yellow. It looked great. And they danced a cha-cha.
I did not write down what they danced.
Neither did I.
It may have been a cha-cha.
I'm pretty sure it was a cha-cha. It was a cha-cha.
Okay, I believe you. I did not write that one down.
It was awesome. I will say, like 5 seconds into it, he ripped off his jacket and he was just wearing a cut-off shirt, and I was like, neat.
Yeah, he is super confident, and I really love that about him. He's not a performer, but he has got like the performer vibes already. Like, this isn't something new for him. Like, he's a, you know, I mean, he's a TV host, but he didn't plan on being a TV host. You know, he just made a documentary about his own experience. And so the fact that he's such a solid performer and his like face is so strong is really impressive to me. They danced to, I want to say it's called Dynamite. It's by BTS. I don't know a lot about BTS. I don't know a lot about BTS. But yeah, I think it was a really good dance. Favorite comment from this was, Derek exclaimed, "By the beard of Zeus." I believe he was referring to the chest hair, but I was just like, a weird exclamation from Derek.
Yes, Bruno commented on the chest hair as well. And then when it got to Carrie Ann, her hair was much blonder than last week. We were very shocked about that. It was like, beautiful. Why Carrie Ann so blonde? But she was blonde. Anyways, they got a 21 out of 30, so a solid first score of the night.
And their total for both dances, because I combined last week's as well, was 41 out of 60. And then it was Skye and Allen, and they danced to Miss Independent by Neo, and I love that song. Such a good song. My favorite thing is they went and talked about Skye's career, because she's so young, but she's had such a long career, because she was a baby model. I too was a baby model, and I don't know if I can find my headshot, but if I can find my baby headshot, I'll put it here. But I think it's buried in the garage.
But we can at least put your billboard.
Oh yeah, we can put it right on a billboard. I was on a billboard. That's the thing.
So they did a samba.
Yes.
And
which kind of a bold choice for the youngest dancer the second week.
Yes, and it was going really well. They were stunning in blue and orange. It was awesome. And then about halfway through, they were trying to do a lift, and there was a fumble. A really big fumble. Skye like grabbed a fistful of Alan's hair because she was falling down. It was very bad, and you could really tell that it shook her for the rest of the dance. It definitely affected her.
Yeah.
But I mean, the rest of the dance wasn't bad. You could just tell she was shook up.
And everyone was so supportive of her. I remember they panned over to Nellie and Daniela, and Nellie was like visibly upset for her that she stumbled. Like, it made me really happy.
My favorite quote when they were talking during judging was, she said, "You know what? That did happen, but things happen."
Right. She had a really positive attitude about it all. They ended up getting a 15, which put them at 36 out of 60 for both weeks, which was kind of rough because they did have the highest score the first night. And then they got the lowest score the second night. So that kind of really screwed their average a little bit. The next thing that they revealed was that Kaitlyn had an injury and may not be dancing. They brought this back up several times. And by the second time they brought it up, I was like, okay, she's gonna be dancing. Like, come on. But then it was Johnny and Britt.
Yes. Okay, so they did a very sassy tango to Poker Face.
With Poker Face.
By Lady Gaga.
Brought out Johnny Gaga.
Yes, kept referencing Johnny Gaga. He said that he loves Lady Gaga like a whale loves fish.
Correct.
Which is a nice statement. The thing that I want to talk about, I'm going to put a picture of their opening pose right here. He did this thing, both of them were doing this thing with their hands. And I just thought I had to bring it up because Tyra's the host now. There was a contestant on season 22 of America's Next Top Model named Devin. And he did this thing that he liked to call the bird of paradise. And he I'll put his picture there, but he flails his fingers and he would always act around his, model around his face with this bird of paradise. And so it just really gave me those vibes and I just had to mention it because Tyra.
Yeah. So they were doing a tango, and from the early beginning of the dance, I kind of knew what the judges' comments were going to be because tango is a dance that the man has to be super strong and supported, and I think Johnny was doing the best he could for week 2, but he's definitely not a sturdy dancer yet, and so I think he was fairly sharp, but not quite as strong and staccato as a tango should be.
And with that, with a tango, you're sharp, but you're dragging. That's kind of the motion. He was dragging, but it was a little too draggy.
Yeah. And the judges even brought up that they needed it to be a little more staccato. Carrie Ann commented that the footwork was a little off. But they really enjoyed the energy of the dance overall.
And they got an 18 out of 30 for that dance.
Which put them 36 out of 60 for 2 weeks, which was about middle of the pack.
Yeah. Next up was Justina and Sasha.
Dancing a foxtrot, which there were so many foxtrots this week. A lot of my comments going through was oh, here's another foxtrot. Oh, another foxtrot. Why are there so many foxtrots? I mean, I love the foxtrot. It's a beautiful dance, but Jesus.
Anyways, Justina is a beautiful dancer. And my favorite thing is that Derek commented afterwards saying that she's just a natural dancer. And she was talking in her package about how she's always wanted to be a performer and all this stuff. And yeah, she's a performer, she's an actress, but she is having so much fun dancing and it's great.
Yeah. There was an opportunity for a lift to accidentally happen, but she kept her toes down. She was just so graceful. Honestly, all I could think the whole time was, is Sasha gonna get a mirror ball this season? I really think that there's another mirror ball coming home to Sasha and Emma's house.
I think so. I think that makes it a total of 2, right? I think
Emma has one. Yeah, Emma has one, and Sasha doesn't have any. So there could be another one coming to the household. And then when they were doing all the comments, they kept going out to Emma and Charles, and Emma was just the proudest wife moments. It was so cute. Also, the set was beautiful. Lots of trees. And
they changed. They started as bear, and then they were cherry blossom trees. Oh, it was beautiful.
Derek commented that Justina was such a natural dancer, and Sasha's response to that was to do a little river dance behind Justina. So excited, it made my heart really happy. Bruno said they had excellent lyricism and quality of movement, which I agree with. So beautiful.
The one thing that Bruno said was to watch her turns because everything was so nice and sustained.
Right.
But in the turns, they kind of lost it a little bit.
Yeah, and then Carrie Ann said that she was transported into a film with a happy ending, which was definitely the vibe of the dance, which was really cool. They got a 21 out of 30, which was the same thing they had scored the week before. So that left them at 42 out of 60 for the 2 weeks.
And that put them at the top
of the leaderboard.
Next up was Monica and Val, and they did a jive to Taylor Swift, I believe?
Yes, it was Shake It Off.
Yes.
Which is a great jive song.
And in their package was our first appearance from Len.
I miss Len.
During this episode, kind of explained some of the dances, so he gave us some background into jive before they got into their package, which was awesome. And my favorite thing, Val was trying to explain the flicks that you do in a jive. And he told her to imagine that she had toilet paper on the bottom of her shoe when she was trying to flick it off. With that being said, there weren't a lot of flicks in the dance.
No, and I don't know if that was just she didn't get them or he didn't put enough in. But the big thing I noticed from the beginning was there's not a ton of jive in this jive.
No.
And they kind of commented on that too. The big thing that they enjoyed was that her cheerleading qualities and her knowledge of that kind of dance really does lend itself to the jive and the attitude of the jive. But there just wasn't a ton of jive elements. Yeah, it was, I mean, it was fun, but it wasn't really a jive.
Yeah, besides that, Carrie Ann, they had a lift in there, and it was a cheer-esque lift.
It was literally just like a cheer.
It was like a cheer, lift, like a solitary lift. But Carrie Ann was like, you didn't really need that. Like, I'm sure your cheer fans will be like, oh, cool, like, that was great, but we didn't need that.
Val was not happy. I'm just gonna tell you, Val's face, he was just like angry. Val was so upset about the scoring in the comments. They scored a 16. Derek gave them the higher score. Derek scored the 6, the rest were 5s.
Which put them at a total of 35 out of 60, which is,
yeah, lower end. And then before they went to commercial break, they showed the leaderboard, and at that point it was Justina followed by Neve at the top of the leaderboard for the 2 weeks. And then it was AJ and Cheryl doing another foxtrot.
Yes, and my favorite thing was that Tyra was very impressed by the fact that he jumped off a trampoline during their jive last week.
She was obsessed with the trampoline.
She was very impressed by a trampoline. They had the cutest video package, and a lot of it was related to AJ's wife, which was adorable. There was a cute little video. The song that they danced to was one of his and his wife's favorite songs. So there's a cute little video of them dancing in the kitchen to it, and I just loved it.
It was a little clunky, but there was so much good energy. He was really joyful. And Bruno, I mean, on top of saying that foxtrot can't be choppy, and it was like saying there's so much pizzazz and just joy in that dance, which was really, really special to see. Tyra then made him cry, talking about his wife, because Tyra was pushing him to like, no, say the things. And so then, of course, he starts crying. Right. And they got a 19 out of 30. Carrie Ann gave the higher score.
So that could put him at a 37 out of 60. And I talked to Kayla last night. I did not realize how much of my type AJ McLean is. Like, he is my type, but I didn't realize it. Now we know.
Now we know.
Moving on.
Ann and Keo, yet another foxtrot. They talked about how her kids didn't think she was gonna be good, and because she has 2 sons, one's 18, one's 11. And her son was like, I honestly didn't think you'd be good, but like, good job, Mom. And so then they talked kind of about how her sons are bigger critics than the judges, which is really funny.
She was teaching her sons how to dance ballroom, which was super cute.
Their foxtrot was Counting Stars by One Republic, such a great song. She was stunning, just like last week. She did tend to watch her feet a little too much in the beginning, but then once she got into hold with Keo, it was a lot easier for her not to, because I think she was more focused on him and she was able to lift up a little more. But the beginning, she definitely was watching her feet a lot, which as a choreographer of children, my biggest yelled thing is stop looking at your feet. And so seeing an adult do that, I was like,
I will say I saw a big lift that they were rehearsing during their package.
It was not.
It was not a lift, but he actually lifted her up during rehearsal, so that made me nervous because you don't lift in a foxtrot.
Yeah. Biggest comment from Derek was that energy was too much in the upper body and not the legs, but Bruno's other connection was really strong. They got an 18, again, middle of the pack, which put them at a 36 out of 60 for the 2 weeks.
Yes.
Then we had a Tyra outfit change into a very beautiful black dress.
Gorgeous.
But again, then we got to my favorite pair.
We have Nellie and Danielle up next.
I love them.
They danced it was
a cha-cha.
Cha-cha.
I did not write it down, but it was a cha-cha.
That's a cha-cha, and it was pretty darn good. My favorite thing was that, so last week Derek commented on Nellie's sneakers and was like, you need ballroom shoes. He custom ordered ballroom shoes that look like sneakers.
Yeah.
So he was wearing actual ballroom dance shoes.
But they look like kicks.
But they looked like kicks.
It was so great.
It was great.
They looked wonderful. He was really focused on his footwork, which was important. They said he needed some work with the footwork still, but he was definitely trying harder. We didn't get quite enough swivel from Swivel.
Yeah.
So he needs to work on those hips a little more. But Carrie Ann said he's the easiest to watch. Derek loved the attention to detail. And they scored an 18, middle of the pack, 34 out of 60 for 2 weeks.
Yes. All right. Next up was Chriselle and Gleb.
The first Roomba of the season.
No.
Was there a Roomba last week?
There was a Roomba last week. I don't remember who
did
the Roomba last week. Vernon and Peta did a Roomba last week.
Oh, correct. That's right, and it was beautiful. Second Roomba of the season.
Yes.
Second Roomba in purple also of the season.
Yes, because Vernon and Peta were in purple as well.
Different purples, but still.
Anyways, they danced the Roomba to This Is Me from The Greatest Showman.
Weird choice for a Roomba, but whatever.
Very weird choice. I will say the beginning was very lovely and smooth and flowy, but as the song picked up...
She stumbled a bit.
I didn't notice the stumble.
I noticed some stumbles in the beginning. But that's okay. Keep going.
As I was saying, as the song picked up, the Roomba got fast and a little choppier.
Yeah.
And
there was a lot of power in it too. Like it wasn't like flaily choppy.
No.
But it was definitely choppy.
It was not necessarily how a Roomba should look.
Yeah. Going to the celebrity gossip side of me, the first thing I thought when the song "This Is Me" came on was like, ooh, but this is us, because messy divorce. Anyway, Derek's biggest comment was feet. Work on the feet. Carrie Ann said something that sounded like she said the lifts don't matter, and I was like, that's rich coming from you, Carrie Ann. I really love how Bruno says Chriselle's name. It has nothing to do with the dancing, but the way he says Chriselle, I don't know how he says it, it just like amuses me.
But they got an 18 out of 30, and that put them at a total of 31 out of 60 for the 2 weeks.
Which is pretty low in the pack right now. I've been really trying not to critique Tyra too much, but at this point I was just fed up. She sounds so over-rehearsed. She is not, I mean, I get it, it's only her second week doing this, but she is not a very natural host. And this came from when they were talking about when Kaitlyn and Artem would be dancing. But I was getting really annoyed with She feels just really rehearsed and stiff, and I don't know, I don't know.
I feel like it also comes, she doesn't have anyone to play off of. Because when she hosted and did All of America's Next Top Model, there were 4 judges.
But it also wasn't a hosting situation, you know what I mean? It wasn't the same type of hosting. She was judging. Like, yes, she was the host, but she also was a judge, so it's a completely different hosting gig. Anyway, next up, sweet Charles and Emma. We love Charles and Emma.
We love Charles and Emma.
Another cha-cha.
Looked like a mirror ball. And
he is the mirror ball, is what I wrote down.
So a big thing that Emma wanted to focus on for their cha-cha was that he needed to keep his height and not try to slouch down to where she was at. Which I think he did pretty well.
Yeah, I think he did a lot better with that. He was definitely seemed more confident this week, which was good. It wasn't technically perfect, but it was a really enjoyable dance.
Yes.
He definitely gave Bruno the chili that he had asked for last week.
And then I would say he was much looser, as like he was getting into a groove. Because it felt like last week it was very like...
Which is the chili. That's the chili.
But what I'm saying is that he felt more loose. I'm not like... There was a specific chili that Bruno wanted, but that's not what I'm saying, is that he overall, like, loosened up.
Right. They got a 15, and Emma was hyped about it, which put them in a 27 out of 60 for 2 weeks.
Yes.
At that point, they announced the leaderboard again. The top 3 at that point was Justina, Neve, and AJ. And then Team John Tucker Must Dance was up.
Yes, and they did a foxtrot to Dream by Fleetwood Mac.
Beautiful.
And we got another Len cameo.
To talk about foxtrot.
Which seemed weird because there have already been foxtrots, but whatever.
You gotta spread out the Len love, you know?
But yeah, Jesse had commented a lot during their package on how much chemistry the 2 of them have, and that he really loves their partnership.
Yeah, his acting is really strong. He definitely has a bit of a focus face, so he's gotta like tone down the intensity a little bit. But he really braces himself. Bruno said he needs to work on posture and like tucking the bum in. And my biggest comment was some of the things that Jesse said both in the package and during the judging made me think he may be an Enneagram 3 like me. Yeah, that was a comment, but they got a 20. Bruno low scored them, not surprising, which gave them a 38 out of 60 for 2 weeks.
Yes, and next up was Jennie and Brandon.
Another cha-cha!
Another cha-cha, and we got a cameo from Jeannie's mom.
Threatening to send her back to Vietnam if she doesn't dance better.
Not only did she threaten to send Jennie back to Vietnam, she threatened to send Brandon to Vietnam.
Which Brandon was like down with. He was like, I'd be cute in Vietnam, and she was like, okay.
They started the dance off with just her. Mm-hmm. And I thought it was great. She was grooving, she was feeling it.
So good.
And then once they got together, it was just as great.
Right. She looked a little overwhelmed, but definitely like she was enjoying herself.
She had the longest braid, and at one point, it got tucked under her arm and attached to her dress. It was a sequin dress. And attached to it, so she like, I felt bad.
Yeah, it was a little intense. Biggest comment was she needs to watch her weight distribution. And again, another 18. 18 was like the theme of the night, which put her again at a 36 out of 60, which again,
theme of the night.
Middle of the pack. Next up, our dear friend, Carol Baskin, and our dear friend, Pasha. They had a Viennese waltz, the only Viennese waltz of the night and of the season so far, I think.
Yes, and they danced to, what is it, What's Up, Pussycat?
Yeah, so they're gonna find all the cat theme songs for her,
Yes.
I've decided. I really love her attitude. She got a little bit emotional talking about like the media fallout from Tiger King and how it's impacted her family, especially her daughter, and how she really hopes that Dancing with the Stars kind of turns that around, especially for her daughter. But this dance was miles better than last week.
Oh my God, yeah. But yeah, they had a really beautiful frame. It felt like last week she was kind of clinging on to Pasha for dear life, it felt like. But this week she kind of relaxed back into it. Her posture was awesome. And Derek was very impressed. He was mainly impressed with the set. There was a cat, King Henry VIII.
And then it was a whole like grand entryway with like all the roses in Los Angeles, as Bruno commented. But yeah, they got a 16. Carrie Ann gave him the high score. Pasha was so hyped up about it. And put him at 27 out of 60 for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Next was Vernon and Peta. They had
back to Carol.
Back to Carol. What about Carol?
So Tyra had asked her about, like Tyra was asking everyone all these questions, right? I don't remember the exact question that Tyra had asked her, but she said that she can't imagine a greater escape than dancing every day.
Very true.
And she is very much enjoying herself and having so much fun. And it was really, really heartwarming to see a different side of her this week.
Yeah. So Vernon and Peta had a paso doble. My first reaction was, God, Peta is hot, because it's just a fact. Maxim Shmerkovsky is a very lucky man. It was a really strong dance, and I loved the song choice. It was a little bit fast for a paso, but I loved it.
Yeah, they had one pass across the floor, like a main pass. That was really strong and really great. I will say I loved their costumes. So Vernon's jacket looked like his jersey, and then Peta was
in a referee. Yeah, it was really fun.
It was really cool.
He looked really upset with himself at the end, so I thought he must have messed something up, but I didn't see anything that was a mess up.
The only thing, Carrie Ann commented that he was able to correct himself because apparently at the beginning half he was ahead of the music.
Oh, okay.
And then he was able to fix himself.
Yeah. Bruno said they need to work a little more on shaping, but it was all in all pretty good. They got an 18, another 18, and they were at 35 out of 60 for 2 weeks.
And our final dance.
Wait, before we get there, I'm trying not to rag on Tyra, but I have to. Is it in her contract that she has to talk more than everybody else on the show? Because the judges get no time to talk, but Tyra gets like 8 years to interview them. Like, they should have more time to comment. They already submitted their scores, so it's not like they need to submit their scores. So I'm like, why does Tyra get to talk so much? She knows nothing about dance. They should get to comment more on these dances than Tyra getting to ask them questions about their life. That's not what this is about. That's in their package. So Tyra needs to kind of shut up and let the judges talk more. That's my opinion.
All right, our final dance.
My boo.
Kaitlyn and Artem. She commented that cortisone really helps with injuries.
Yes, so she had hurt her ankle earlier in the day. Didn't even do dress rehearsal, it turns out. Based on some Instagram stories I watched. And they weren't sure if she was gonna dance, but she was like, come hell or high water, I'm doing this dance. They gave her a cortisone shot, they wrapped her up, they put her in some comfier shoes, and like the badass bitch she is, she danced. I mentioned this in my notes for Justina too, but the practice skirts are out, which made me really happy because foxtrots, they gotta practice in those long skirts. And they danced to I Hope You Dance,
yes,
which was the one song going into the season that like a magazine asked Kaitlyn, what's the one song you want to dance to on Dancing with the Stars, and that was the one she said, so I was like, that's so cool, her second week. And they were wearing beautiful blush pink, which is, you know, my fave, and looked absolutely gorgeous.
I will say there was a little fumble, and I'm not sure anyone but me noticed it, but she was coming out of a spin and there was a little fumble with her feet. But besides that, the entire dance was gorgeous. You couldn't even tell that she had a bum ankle.
No, I was like, if that's how she danced, if that's how she dances with an injured foot, this is gonna be a great season for her. And Carrie Ann even commented on it, like, if that's how you dance with an injured foot, I'd love to see you do this dance without the injury. Derek said she had beautiful, graceful, effortless qualities, and Bruno commented on the classical ballet quality, which her mom was a ballerina, she was trained in ballet growing up, so that's like, you know, that's kind of where she shines, is dances like the foxtrot, where it's like very flowy, ballet focused. They got the first 8 of the season with an injury. three. So they got a 22. Derek was one who gave the 8. And that put them at 42 out of 60, which put the top of the leaderboard, the top 3 for these 2 weeks, as Justina and Kaitlyn tied with 42, and then Neve with 41.
Yes. So then, when we got back from break, it was time for the elimination.
Yes.
So in no particular order, this is the order that they were called out safe.
Yes. Kaitlyn,
Vernon,
AJ,
Justina,
Jesse,
Johnny,
Monica,
Nellie,
Jeannie,
Neve,
Anne,
Skye,
and Chriselle, which put Carol and Charles as the bottom 2. This season, the bottom 2 get judges saves. It's not based on the votes.
which I believe that's what they did last season
I think so. And so Carrie Ann got to save first and chose to save Carol.
And then Bruno decided to save Charles and Emma.
So that put Derek as the deciding vote, and he decided to save Carol and Pasha, which means Charles and Emma went home. And I kind of expected that was how it was gonna happen. I didn't think Carol was gonna go home the first week, so I figured it would be Charles and Emma. Other thing I loved from this ending is when they announced that Brandon and Jeannie were safe. Brandon picked Jeannie up, hauled her off stage. Like, I don't know if anyone else caught it, but like he lifted her up and sprinted.
And just ran.
It was so funny. I love them. But yeah, I think I would have loved to see Charles and Emma stick around a little longer, but I don't know who else would have gone home. Maybe Chriselle would have been another person who could have been in the bottom 2. But I knew they weren't gonna send Carol home the first week.
No, they wouldn't have.
Yeah, so top 3s have changed for both of us.
Both of us, yours changed too?
Yes, both of them have changed.
All right.
And I think they may be the same.
I think we're at the same now. So my top 3, last week I had Skye in my top 3, and this week Skye was bumped out. So now my top 3 are Neve and Jenna, Kaitlyn and Artem, and Justina and Sasha.
And my top 3 last week included Nellie, but for this week I'm gonna take Nellie out. He may come back, we'll see. And my top 3 are Kaitlyn and Artem, Justina and Sasha, and Neve and Jenna. So the exact same top 3s this week. Again, we don't do them in order because we don't know what the order is gonna be yet. It's too soon. Eventually maybe we'll start predicting the order.
Yeah.
But yes.
So that was week 2 of Dancing with the Stars season 29.
Woohoo!
So stay tuned for next week. We're gonna be reviewing Disney Week over on Kayla's channel, StyledByKaylaXO.
We're gonna have to dress up.
Oh yes, we are gonna dress up. So that video will be over on StyledByKaylaXO next week. Yeah, so make sure you comment, like, subscribe, stick around. I will be posting a new video soon.
Thank you for watching.